Good morning. My name is Joanne Udy, and I'm a docent at the Wadsworth Atheneum in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm also a regional director for the National Docent Symposium Council. We're here at the Wadsworth Atheneum, my home institution, and we're with Tom Loughman, the director and CEO of the Wadsworth. Tom, please speak to the idea of museums reimagining their relationship with audiences. How do you envision this might look in light of the pandemic and in planning for the future?
Well, one of the things that the past 6 months have shown us is that the old formula that was really driving our cultural institutions that are based in cities, in and around cities, was this idea of work, live, play. This idea that cities would be reborn through a new ecosystem of experiences. And that's been shaken by the current situation, in part because cities are facing new challenges, and in part because we haven't quite seen where this pandemic takes attitudes about living close or about office life. So we took the opportunity during the pause to rethink a number of things that we knew would stand us well into the future. One was a serious re-examination of our strategic purpose, and we're in strategic planning here at the Wadsworth. Another was reconsidering the ideas of impact, not only how we could affect people's lives and bring joy to them, but also the means by which that was communicated. So we spent a lot of time elevating our digital presence and working on how we could make people feel safe and secure, yet totally fulfilled and engaged by the museum going forward.
What unexpected opportunities have emerged during this pandemic?
I think one of the great unexpected boons or windfalls of the situation has been time. We were fortunate here at the Wadsworth to keep the entire staff employed at full pay, which allowed us to retool our exhibition program, to look into our digital initiatives and actually migrate our whole digital platform in a very compressed schedule because we had the luxury of time. We were in this suspended state, and oddly, we were facing the pandemic just like every other institution around the globe. There was no one a season or 2 years ahead of us that we could learn from. And so it has been both an opportunity to retool things, to move those bigger rocks out there, but also a chance to reconnect with a global community of colleagues and work through problems together.
I think in my years as a docent here, we've done an exceptional job of welcoming public comments, public input, public expertise in designing and executing on exhibitions. I expect us to continue doing that because I think that has put us at the forefront of being able to not just respond to societal concerns or interests, but to anticipate and plan ahead to respond to those kinds of social conditions, social, economic, political conditions.
Well, Joanne, as we talk about making our museums matter, as we talk about making decisions that either relate to the survival of the institution or to the service of community, I'm always returning to this idea that we were able to celebrate here at the museum 4 years ago when I arrived, which was this declaration in creating the Wadsworth Welcome Program of saying, this museum belongs to you in a full-throated, unapologetic manner to the people that live here. This idea of the public trust is more important than ever. The public trust here in the conversation here in America means that our institutions need to be defined by the futurescape. They need to harness legacy in service of the future. And I feel that the board and the staff leadership and really everyone around the museum feels ever more committed to that idea.
During this time of uncertainty, what can we do to prepare ourselves for serving the public and our institution?
Well, I think there are a number of factors that you need to take into account when thinking about where the public might be some months from now. museums are by their nature quite planful, and yet it's very hard to imagine what our social context is going to be, what our opportunities are going to be with the public. We know, for example, that this year we probably won't be hosting any yellow school buses. We know that we probably won't be hosting any of the vans from the senior centers that regularly make their way to the museum. So we're actually working with the docents to come up with distance learning opportunities, distance experience opportunities. Concurrent with that, there is the question of the digital divide, which is real. Here in the city of Hartford, with the help from the Comcast Foundation, there's an effort afoot to put Wi-Fi throughout the city for free, which I think will change the terms of engagement for our closest neighbors. Yet the reality for now is that there are those who can reach us and feel inspired by us through our digital assets, and there are others who have less of an opportunity. One of the things we're doing immediately is distributing over 1,000 make-at-home art kits. Doing that through the benefaction of SNS Worldwide, a local art supply company that provided all the materials for us, and partnering with the library system and other partners through the region who can serve and reach our target community.
Thank you. And I know that there is docent participation in preparing those packages for distribution. Yeah. So we appreciate being a part of that effort.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we were challenged to do during the outage was to refill our capacity as an institution, whether it's continuing to hire staff or encouraging the expansion of the docent program with a new docent class. And I'm really happy that people answered the call to carry on and move forward despite all the uncertainty that lies ahead.
Having been fortunate to be one of the interviewers of the new docent class coming on board, it was heartening to see the embrace of the potential candidates with being taught virtually.
Yeah.
My understanding is, unless things change significantly, that this will be the first class that will probably be solely virtual, that will have been conducted virtually. There will be a few opportunities, I understand, to come into the galleries socially distanced and protected, but it was warm and embraced. It was warm to me to see how that class just welcomed the opportunity to be a part of this institution virtually.
Yeah, one of the wonderful things that I've witnessed over the past few years is a shift in our docent population. Whereas before there were many people able to serve during the weekday, we had an increasing trend of people interested in touring in the evenings and on weekends. These are working people who know that culture and being connected to others for them needs to happen in their leisure hours outside of the regular workday. And I'm encouraged to see that population continue to grow. I'm also encouraged to see that we have people of the linguistic ability to connect with our audiences who, nearly a third of our audience speaks a language other than English in the home.
You may or may not know this, but when I've attended National Docent Symposium Councils or National Docent Council Symposiums, say that correctly, we are one of the few institutions that makes that happen by having training on Monday mornings and also Tuesday evenings. Many institutions only offer docent training during the day, which would preclude many of these people from becoming docents at our institution. So we applaud that effort, and we're very proud of the fact that many years ago we figured out if you want a more diverse docent council, you have to make training available during leisure hours.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the arc of our docent program, just over half a century, it's changed in its size, it's changed in its mission, it's changed in the means in which it's connected to audience, and very encouraged at the dynamism with which we looked at that 50th anniversary a couple years ago, and which the council committed to creating no fewer than 50 new connections for us across the state. I think in the end doing about 70. That's so important because where people live, what people care about, how people want to spend their time is a constantly evolving landscape, and that we're more alive and engaged with that than ever is quite stabilizing and strengthening to the institution.
As an organization run by docents for docents, what resources do you think the NDSC should focus on providing that would have the most impact now and going forward?
That's a great question. I mean, who am I to say? But my own engagement with national and international professional organizations, if it's taught me anything, it's taught me that the opportunities of this moment to expand access to the content of our convenings, which used to be done more like conventions. You fly in and it's very intense, but very limited. Only a few delegates from each institution might be able to afford the time of convening in person. While I look forward to convening in person, I see the power of radically expanding audience using this digital opportunity. You're almost required and expected to host things on a digital platform. We just, this past weekend, hosted our fundraising gala for the year in a digital form. And rather than hosting 350 people here at the museum for a marvelous party, we created a film about our profile and impact that gave a very authentic portrait of the Wadsworth and was consumed by over 2,000 people over the weekend. So that sense of exploiting the opportunity of scale through the digital, I think is quite healthy and quite timely in a way that we can harness some of the conditions that we're working under.
Thank you. Well, this opportunity was our foray into providing content digitally at the National Docent Symposium Council, and I appreciate the time you're spending with me today. I know how busy you are, but I also know the impact that you're making on this institution and our community, and how fondly the Docent Council feels about your commitment to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
I hope that together we can host the public in a more vigorous way going forward, and that's what it's all about.